We live in a vacation hotspot, so we're very lucky, aren't we? I think the statistics are that 28 different languages are spoken in Miami-Dade County, so we are a hotbed for people visiting from all over and from many places.
Most of the time, you don't even have to speak English to live in Miami. You could speak Spanish and get along just fine. I took an inch out of all of that, and I kind of tied it in together to form my own company. And that gap is basically the paperwork, your evidence, what backbones your insurance claim. Try to tie everything together in the sense that there's no questions to be asked. The paperwork is there, all the evidence is there. If you want to take a deposition, or if you want to go to court, by all means, I have my bullets in order.
It's a difficult negotiation with those insurance companies.
It's super difficult.
I used to defend them, so I know how difficult they can be. One habit you can't live without.
Probably going to the gym or training or getting, some type of blood flow, get your heart pumping,
Just like me. Hey friends, welcome back to the Marty Davis Show, where we turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones and get some insight into some of the people that are the future for Miami and South Florida. Today's guest is someone who grew up in Miami. Not just grew up here, he was born here. So he's a rare breed and an interesting young man. So Adrian Valdes is the owner of Reliance Restoration, a company he founded. What he does, he helps homeowners in some of their most awful situations, navigating the chaos that's caused by floods, hurricanes, fires, any kind of water damage, and then more importantly, dealing with the all-favored insurance companies. He's been negotiating these pitfalls for years now, even though you'll be surprised at his youthfulness. This episode's not going to be just about remediation in hurricanes or damage to your home. It's about resilience and finding opportunities where people, need you most. And Adrian has built a company where so many questionable companies have been in South Florida. There's a saying that South Florida is a sunny place for shady people. And certainly his industry has had some questionable folks. But Adrian is one of the superstars in the industry and is one who has built a reputation on trust, courtesy, and doing the right thing. So let's dive in. Adrian, you're a rare Miamian. So tell us what it's like growing up here and the changes you've seen.
Miami's gotten gentrified in the last 10 years. The exposure, the explosion from tourism to just regular day life it's blown up. It doesn't when I grew up here, it wasn't like this at all. People would come to Miami on vacation, but now it's like a staple that if you don't have a Miami trip on your Instagram, then you're not doing anything. So Miami's blown up. Growing up here, the weather is super bipolar. So one moment it will rain and in an hour you'll have the sunniest day. What I like about Miami is just the culture, the diversity in culture. Most of the time, you don't even have to speak English to live in Miami. You could speak Spanish and get along just fine. And Miami's the only place where you could drive 20 minutes and go to the beach. At least the most beautiful beach in all of Florida.
Absolutely. We live in a vacation hotspot, so we're very lucky, aren't we? And you got to live here all your life. So most of us have just transitioned here from someplace we are glad that we're from.
So. Most of the people, it's like a honeymoon phase when you first move in here. And then when you see the traffic and you see, how bad it gets and how saturated the population is, you start to have buyer's remorse. Mm-hmm. But that thought kind of goes away once you have a sunny day and you go to the beach.
Yeah. I think the statistics are that 28 different languages are spoken in Miami-Dade County. So we are a hotbed for people visiting from all over and from many places. So I'm glad that you feel comfortable, and I'm working on my Spanish. So I know I can order food, and I know all the 4-letter words. So when people are talking bad about me, I understand. You told me earlier that before COVID, you were working 60 hours in a bar, and that after COVID, you decided that you're going to take that savings that you had and invested in a business and move forward and trust in yourself. Walk us through that turning point. What was going on in your head, and why did you decide going into this area?
The turning point was, I mean, I feel like for everybody, it was COVID. You had a lot of time to think and you were sitting at home. And the turning point before I left, before COVID hit, I kind of saw it as I'm burning out. I'm working 60 hours. I look at the people around me and they're not where I want to be. So it came to a point where I was like, I have money left over. Let me see what I could dive into. I started off with home inspections. I did the full course. I got the license, but the real estate boom died in Miami at that point. So I said, we need to reinvent the wheel here because I've gone ahead of what can I do with what I've learned through home inspections that I can apply to another trade that'll possibly make me more money. It was a big leap of faith that I had to take, but it worked out in the end.
What steps did you take? You got your inspector's license, but what took you to the next stage, the restoration side of things?
I think there was a storm coming, or there was a tropical storm coming, and I asked a couple friends around that had left the bar, and they kind of mentioned to me that they're doing restoration. So I looked into it. I saw that you could bill directly through insurance. I saw that there was a really big disconnect between contractors and restoration companies and insurance agents. So there was a really big gap, and I kind of analyzed it all, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go work for a restoration company. I'm gonna learn everything that I can from that restoration company. And then I left that restoration company because I got 3 perspectives from 3 different companies. So I worked with one company that I didn't really like the way they worked. I worked with a company that did stuff right, but did some stuff wrong. And then I worked with a company that I liked everything that they did. I took an inch out of all of that and I kind of tied it in together to form my own company. In the long run, I never wanted to work for anybody. I wanted to be, my own entrepreneur. I want to make my own money. I want to wake up, do what I want to do. If I'm not making money, it's on me. It's not on my hourly. So I kind of saw it as I'm not going to trade time for money as opposed to trading my knowledge for money.
That's great. And all this happened when you were how old?
I was 19 at the time, I think.
That's amazing. Most people are trying to decide which bar they want to go to and don't want to work, or are, packing groceries someplace.
Yeah.
So you're way ahead of the game. So obviously you had a plan and you're following that plan.
Yeah.
So it's good to see. What, you said that you were doing home inspections and then you were dealing with some insurance companies. How has that helped you in the restoration business since you're dealing with insurance companies all the time?
So I started the home inspections, but I never really got any traction out of it. So I started looking and trying to see who I could work with to see if I could help them out in a way where I could provide a service, where I don't have to provide my time. You always provide time, but in the sense that it's more of a trade-off. It's not more of trade my time for money. So I got the perspective of dealing with adjusters. I started working with adjusters. I started doing loss estimates. So the way the insurance claim process works is you have a loss, you document everything, and then you have an estimate that you send out to the insurance company. That estimate then is used like as a median ballpark number for what that homeowner has to get paid in order to be reimbursed for all the damage. I got that perspective going into this field. I wanted to do restoration because the real money was in restoration, not in doing estimates. So I kind of got that perspective of it. Then I got the restoration side perspective of it. And I saw that with everything, whether it's working with adjusters or working with restoration companies, there's a big gap. And that gap is basically the paperwork, your evidence, what backbones your insurance claim. So I took that, I tied it all together. I basically work as your liaison for anything that has to do with your property getting damaged. So I deal with the insurance company directly. I provide the restoration service, and then I fight for the compensation that you deserve.
Very good. Kind of a one shop.
I kind of try to tie it all into that because there's a really big gap. And an insurance claim is basically an investigation. If that investigation has no evidence, you're not going to get anywhere with the insurance company that doesn't want to pay you already.
It's interesting because what you told me before the interview is you prepare these claims like you're going to court. So you're going to have all that paperwork ready and set to go to the insurance company. Is that it?
Yeah.
What else do you do besides making certain that the paperwork is there?
The whole restoration service within itself, sometimes some properties are very different. Sometimes the losses are bigger. Sometimes the losses are smaller. So I basically just try to tie everything together in the sense that there's no questions to be asked. The paperwork is there. All the evidence is there. If you want to take a deposition, if you want to go to court, by all means, I have my bullets in order and I have all the paperwork.
But what part of the restoration do you do? I have I had a water leak or I had hurricane damage and I had lots of water inside my house. What is it that you come in and do? What's your role in that?
My role, I basically do the service myself.
Okay.
I have guys that work for me, but every client that I take on, they see me, they deal with me directly, and I delegate everything in terms of work that has to be done. But I'm there at your house, taking out the water, drying out the property, making sure that you're okay, guiding you through everything, managing your expectations as a client in order so there's no hiccups in between. I clear cut everything and I condense everything to the form where you deal with me. I take care of everything. You don't have to worry about anything else, just the fact that you suffered a loss in your home.
As part of restoration, we have this leak or mold or whatever, but so you take out the water, you get rid of the mold, but do you also build back the walls or the floor or whatever needs to be so I can boom back in?
I don't take care of that part simply for the fact that a lot of people can get a different quote, and my price, since I don't specialize in that, is not something that I would feel comfortable doing. I usually recommend it to a contractor or somebody, or I usually tell all the homeowners, find your own people, because possibly the price I'm gonna get on the street is not the same price you're gonna get with somebody that you have a relationship with. It's just a lot cheaper.
So in other words, so I better understand, because, I've been fortunate not to have any problems. So you take care of the water damage and get rid of the damaged materials and take that away so that the shell is there to be rebuilt by someone else?
I basically take apart the part of your house which isn't inhabitable, whether it's a flood or a leak, and I get rid of all of that so you could start living in there again. Now, in terms of guiding the homeowner through the insurance claims process, we wait, they get paid, and then they hire their own people to go and put back the walls, which is almost 90% of the time a lot cheaper.
Very good. Okay, so now I understand that. I am sure Miami's full of competition, and everyone is talking about hurricanes and hurricane damage and all of those things and floods. What are you finding about, you told me that I think you worked with 3 different restoration companies.
Correct.
And some were good, some weren't bad, and then one was pretty good. What did you gain from all of that, and how do you differentiate yourselves from those other competitors out there that may be less than honest or less trustworthy?
The way you work with me is that I don't care about your home, I care about you. I want to make you whole. You're going through a stressful time. A lot of people care about the job. A lot of other companies just see you as a dollar figure, but I care about the people. I try to help people as much as possible because you're going into uncharted territories, meaning that you don't know how insurance companies work. You've never dealt with this. So let me take the stress out of that and deal with them directly. If you don't get paid, I don't get paid. So we have to have a synergetic kind of relationship in the sense that we're all on the same page. I care about you. If you need anything, you can call me at any time of the day. It's not just a dollar figure for me. A lot of people have scammed people. A lot of people have put liens on people's homes. And I just don't think it's fair, especially dealing with the fact that your house is on stilts or your house is on studs and you don't know when you're going to get a check. You don't know when you're going to be able to put back your home. So a lot of people take advantage and fearmonger people and make people sign, but that's not the way I work. I try to help people as much as possible because if I help you, I have a client there for life, and that one client can turn into 20.
Well, and 2, I'm sure if you're taking care of the people, you're also there to make certain that that claim gets put in correctly and that it gets paid as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You told me before that you don't run ads, that your business is totally word of mouth. And why do you think word of mouth is the strongest method for you and your business?
I feel like it's a hot referral. I feel like it's a referral where you have a 70% chance of getting it, as opposed to, finding somebody off the street that you don't know or somebody doesn't even know him. A hot referral from word of mouth basically comes from somebody that you trust, in part extending that trust to me, even though you don't know me, but you know that the person that recommended me, you trust. So for me, it's better to do word of mouth. Marketing is always great, but you could also filter out what clients are going to be good, what clients are going to be bad, and what clients understand the process and don't just care about how much money they're going to get at the end of the day. There's a process to doing the insurance claim, and there's a process to everything.
Do you have any tips on how to best get those word of mouth referrals?
For me, it's spreading the word, talking to people every day, meeting new people. I socialize a lot at the gym. I've gotten a lot of good leads at the gym. Going to insurance agencies, just dropping my card, dropping the bucket might not fill up the bucket today, but it might fill up the bucket in a week, a year, 3 years, whatever the case may be. But for me, getting my word out, telling my contacts, using my contact sphere to basically work for me is, for me, the best way.
You talked about passion earlier, and that you admitted money was a motivator early on, and but now it sounds like you're driven more by helping people, basically doing the right thing. How do you balance that need for profit, eating and all those kinds of things, with taking care of people?
I always put the people first. I've taken some losses on jobs where I've done it pro bono and I haven't gotten paid $1 for it. I'm not going to go after the commonwealth or the homeowner when they don't even have two nickels to rub together. I would always want to get compensated for my work. But that part as well, I kind of filter out in the sense that the way I treat everything is like if it's going to court, meaning that there's no way I don't get paid or no way that we don't get paid. If there's a case that, smells fishy or just looks, I just, use my knowledge to see, okay, is this pre-existing or has this been going on for a while? Or your inspection report gave you 2 years on the roof and you're finally claimed 3 years after, you're not going to get paid. And I'm not going to take in a wild goose chase either.
Right.
So I kind of filter out realistically what's my highest probability of getting paid on this claim, because I never get compensated for my full amount regardless. Insurance companies love to negotiate my bill. Whether I spent $10,000, $20,000, whatever the case may be, they'll only pay a significant amount up to that point.
Yeah. So you have to be cognizant of that as well. And also, there's some jobs aren't going to get paid, and sometimes I'm sure that it's a difficult negotiation with those insurance companies.
Super difficult.
I used to defend them, so I know how difficult they can be. But on those tough days when the deals fall through, how do you keep motivated, keep moving forward in your business?
I look at where I'm at and I look at where I was 5 years ago. And if there's progress and there's some type of success, then I keep it going, because up, down, sideways, up, as long as you're going up in the trajectory at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how bad your day is, there's greater days ahead.
The sun will come out tomorrow, right? Yes. No, always good things. Talking about tomorrow, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I would like to have one of the biggest restoration companies in Florida, but at the same time, it's weeding out the good referrals from the bad referrals. So realistically, I would like to have a fleet of 40 employees in about 5 to 10 years. After that, just having a self-sustaining business where I don't even have to lift up my finger. I don't even have to go to job sites, because I hired people that I trust and know exactly what they're doing, and they carry the same standards of practice that I do in their job.
Sounds like a winning plan. So let's talk about a little more on the personal side. Where is that goal in 5 years? Do you want to be in a penthouse or a fancy waterfront house, or maybe starting a family here in Miami? What's Adrian's life goals?
Within the next 5 years, I would like to start a family, or at least, have a child. I'm getting a little older now. I passed 25. I'm going to 26 now. It's starting to get a little scary for me. But
I think there's still a few good years left, but yeah.
They say you don't hit your prime till 30.
There you go.
Let's see.
Really? Wow. I was hoping it was going to be 60, but anyway.
So yeah, just starting a family, having a home, and having a self-sustaining business where I don't have to lift a finger, and I could teach my kids or teach who I'm with what it is to make money, attain it, retain it, and not have to work for anybody. Your time is basically the most important thing you have. You don't know how long you have here. So having the freedom of being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, for me is a win.
That's my definition of success too, being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Yeah. And because it isn't all about money. At the end of the day, people work and they talk about, well, I'm making so much money, and this is great and all of that. But really, the motivator is what you can do with the money. And that may be a family, that may be a house, that may be traveling the world, or, just staying at home and knitting sweaters. So, but yes,
it's the freedom.
So it's good. It's freedom. And it sounds like you're truly on that path. I think that young entrepreneurs also need to hear that. And here at the Chamber in Miami, which I'm a part of, we try and give that training and those abilities and the access to young businesses to see how young entrepreneurs who are successful have done it, because they're all asking the same questions over and over again. And whether it's a business plan, whether it's what motivates you, to everything to, we talk about vision boards and looking at, well, what is it that you really want out of life, and to use that as your goal. And it sounds like you're thinking of that all the time, and that's what's leading you. So I'm happy to hear that. We've had ups and downs in the growth in Miami. Real estate boom, real estate bust at about the time you went into business. The city's been transformed since the early 2000s into, a global center for investment and for building and for people coming in. I think the statistics are we have 1,000 new people coming into Florida every day, and most of them are coming to South Florida. What do you love most about Miami today and with all of these changes? And what's the hardest part about doing business here?
I'll answer the second question first. So the hardest part about doing business here is dealing with shady people. Everybody wants a quick buck. Everybody wants to get the leverage on you. Everybody, that's short-sighted thinking. You're not going to ruin a relationship over a couple $1,000 when you could be making tens of thousands, millions, whatever the case may be. So dealing with people down here and running a business down here, you got to be very cautious who you bring in and who you take out. It's very cutthroat. Somebody might stab you in the back just to get the job. Somebody might come in at a cheaper price just because they heard. So you got to be very cautious doing business down here.
Sure. Let's talk about the other things on the other side. What do you love most about Miami today?
What I love most about Miami is just being young, a man in Miami. I mean, there's nothing like it. You could go to the beach, you could go wherever you want. It gives you the liberty to do everything. The only thing you can't do is hike or go on hills, but I'll trade that off any day for the beach. The weather's great. The people could be rude, but they could be nice. So that's kind of a 50-50. But, living in Miami and growing up here, I don't think I'd ever leave. And that sounds very cliche, but I like it. I like the ambiance. I like, the fast movement. It's a city. It's always going. Miami's open 24 hours, basically 24/7. So I like having access to that.
It's funny you say that, because I have lots of friends that Miami is their second home, and they go someplace else, or they're from someplace else. And they question me about, well, you've lived here all your life. Don't you want to have a place someplace else to live? And I'm with you. We live in paradise. Why on earth would I want to go someplace that's going to be substandard to this, quite frankly? And my family's from Illinois originally, and to think about going to Rockford, Illinois to spend a winter up there and shovel snow, I'm not sure that that's where I'd like to be. There's a lot of wonderful people and a lot of wonderful things to do outside of Florida and in Rockford, but I'm not sure I want to live there anymore. Visiting is the great part, and that's what we can all do, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that we are just so lucky to be here. And you were born here. I grew up here. It's a great opportunity for both of us. Let's go back to that human side of things. You said that you meet a lot of people in the gym. What habits do you have that, basically keep you grounded and going in the right direction?
Every day I got to go to the gym. I just got to get something out of the way. First thing in the morning, when I wake up, I go to the gym. That's the liberty that I have of, owning a restoration company or owning any type of company in particular. Sundays are usually reset days. So Sundays I usually get ready for the week, plan any jobs that I have, schedule everything, and, not going 100% into the business, because you're still a human at the end of the day. So, it's not bad to have fun, but at a moderation. So, I'll go out here and there, maybe, once a month to a club or something, but it's kind of just resetting. So if I have a bad week, I'll kind of go and get my head off of it, and I'll still keep my routine of going to the gym and resetting on Sundays. But realistically, staying grounded for me is just still being around the people I know and reminding myself, okay, I had a bad day or something happened this week, but, I still got my friends. I still got a good support system, reconnecting with them and remembering what it is, why I opened all of this in the first place.
Very good. If we had some young entrepreneurs listening to this, and you were talking about the hustle that you were doing as first started, what advice would you give them to say, hey, this is what you really need to do to be successful?
Just don't give up. You you just have to be right once. You're right once, and from one week to the other, your life could change completely. All it takes is just perseverance, resilience, and just continuing to add drops to the bucket, continuing, and don't give up.
Very good. And finally, success means different things to everybody. And we may have covered this a little bit, but for you, what does success really mean? Where is it that you really feel in your heart that success is located?
Being able to retire my mom is really one of my goals. That's when I could be, okay, I can retire my mom, have a self-sustaining business, because my mom is my rock. My mom, carries me. She helps me out whenever I have a problem. I call her, I talk to her a lot. And for me, success would be just retiring her, buying her a home, and she could live happily ever after, doing whatever she wants. Not having to worry about me or my brother or my family, just, and having the freedom, giving her the freedom that I experience all the time, which is just being able to do whatever I want.
Oh, that's great. A good son. So you have one brother?
I have one brother, one younger one.
Very good. And he's here in South Florida too?
We look like polar opposites though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's 6'2", blonde with gray eyes, and I got the other genes.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, that's okay too. I'm sure he's handsome. So Adrian, at the end of every interview, I like to throw out some rapid fire questions, we call it. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Just give me the first thing you come to mind. What's your favorite bar that you go to if you're wanting to relax and enjoy yourself?
Favorite bar? I really like Tap 42. I'm not really of a local bar guy. I kind of like the chains. The chains usually keep it consistent. So Tap 42 and the Gables would be perfect for me.
Very good. Good burgers, good beer.
Great.
All stuff. Yeah, no, good. Your go-to restaurant, would you recommend to a tourist?
My go-to restaurant? I would say Graziano's.
Good.
Graziano's is great. I love the food there. It never misses. And, I think it's a staple of Miami. I think they only have it here.
Yeah. One habit you can't live without?
Probably going to the gym or training or getting, some type of blood flow, get your heart pumping, After you do the bad stuff, you do the hard stuff, you feel a lot greater after.
Very good. Just like me. If you weren't running Reliance Restoration, what would you be doing?
Probably hating my life at a 9-to-5 at a desk job. I would say that. If I wasn't running this and I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do, I'd probably be doing that or somewhere in the medical field. Probably a nurse, just diving into that, having a 9-to-5.
But not ready to change, right?
No.
Okay.
You got to see it through.
What would be the one thing that people listening would be surprised to hear about you?
That's a good one. Give me a second.
We only ask easy questions here. Yes.
People surprised. I'm not really an exciting person, though. Surprised, I mean, something they basically don't know about me.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think, Marty. I'm drawing blanks here.
It's okay. It's all right. And let me ask you another question then. So I think one of those things that people would say about you would be surprised that you are 26 years old and have the wisdom that you have and the stick-to-itiveness that you have and the thoughtfulness that you have. Success has come to you and is even going to be greater in the future. That special someone out there better start paying attention because you're going great places.
Thank you, Marty.
So that's what I'd say, that people would be surprised that you're this young. Adrian Valdes, Miami native, innovator, thought-provoking business leader who cares about his clients, who cares about his business, and clearly cares about your family. What I love most about Adrian's story is that he works with a global crisis when people are at their worst, and he's there to help them through it. He's there to get them the construction that they need, the restoration that they need, and the money that they need to pay for the restoration. So it's a win-win. And so I think it's great. And I think that reliance is a great word. But I also think resilience is a great word, and you're doing both. And that I'm excited that you are here, and I'm glad that we've gotten to know each other. We're involved in a business group together called Business Network International. We refer business back and forth to one another, and I want to make certain that everyone listening knows how great your company is and how great you are, and that the next time that they have a fire or a leak, or that, God forbid, we have another hurricane, that they're calling you. And so I just want to tell you thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
And
me.
I want to remind our viewers that when trouble happens, you need to have a team of reliable people to help you through. I'm Marty Davis, business attorney, entrepreneur, connector, thanking you all for watching, and stay tuned.